Hey cats, what's happening? Welcome to the Ohio tundra. Cold. It's not even the first week of December, and last night it got down to 9 degrees. That's pretty frigid. You know, that makes for some squeaky snow. We had about 4 inches of snow the other day, but the sun came out and the UV has kind of melted it in areas. I had swept off the sidewalk and that's dry. There's a kind of a wind, a breeze, and even when it's cold like that, the UV rays will still melt, the snow to some degree. But I've been trying to keep the house warm. I've been going through my stack of wood here, but I also have the big stack over on the other side of the garage there. Been keeping the wood burner cranked, but I also have this little Vornado heater that blows out hot air 24/7, and that moderates the house at night because the wood burner kind of dies down at night and it's just blowing out lukewarm air. So that little supplemental heater keeps the house, in the 60s when I get up in the morning. And then I crank this wood burner up and it heats the house up rather quickly. I've been feeding my birds out here. I have the suet hanging out there, and I throw sunflower seeds out. So I've seen all of the birds come back: the finches, the juncos, the chickadees, the nuthatches, the tufted titmouse, cardinals. They're all coming to eat now, and I call it the buffet. They're all happy though. Every day they come and they spend all day picking away at the seed. I have the feeder hanging up out there on the beam, but I also throw a bunch of seed down on the deck because they just like to hop around and peck at that too, and it just gives more birds opportunity to eat at the same time. When I first put the seed out there, they were fighting. They would fight each other. I mean, tumble down, wrestle like wrestling, but now they all seem to get along. Because I know birds are territorial, but I think they learn how to share after a period of time, and they're all doing pretty well at sharing. It's hardly weather conducive to riding a motorcycle, and it won't be until springtime. And for me, it'll be after the first couple of rains when it washes the salt off the roads. Salt is like the worst enemy for a motorcycle, so I'm not going to ride in the winter. Even if the temperatures go up, it'll still be salt-covered roads. And that's evident if you saw my truck right now, because my truck's turning white from the salt spray on the road. But still, even in the winter months, people like to discuss biker stuff, guys that ride motorcycles. And one of the things I had noticed the other day was people that the motorcycle culture is a strange thing. Out of everything in the world, it's like a cult, whether you're a member of it or not, you seem to be a part of it. Some guys wear the badge like, it's something that they have earned, like a medal of honor or something. For me, I don't go around professing, hey, I'm a biker, because I'm a lot of things, You can call me whatever you want, but I have 2 Harley Davidsons, and I do ride them. I ride them a lot in the summertime, whenever I get a chance. But I also have a Chevy Silverado, which I use a lot for hauling and other odd things, for pulling my camper and stuff. So I don't just commit my life to riding a motorcycle. It's just a faction of my life that I enjoy. And I like to do it as much as I can because there's something liberating about being on a motorcycle. there's a sense of freedom there of just going on. I mean, you know, when you pull out onto the road and you just start going through the gears, it just brings a smile to your face. It's hard to explain, but it's just something that is very enjoyable to me, and I'm sure if you ride a motorcycle, it is to you too. But there are people that just go kind of overboard with the whole motorcycle thing. And there are those that kind of sell their soul to it. You know, as you well know, there's the clubs that, and they're endless. There's a club for everything nowadays. You know, I mean, you have the big notorious, I would call them outlaw motorcycle clubs, but there's actually one called the Outlaws. There's, you know, the Pagans, the Banditos, the Angels, and the list goes on. And then you got all the subgroups. There's just hundreds of them. And, you know, to join one of those, it takes a special kind of a character, especially in the bigger clubs because of the rules imposed. Now, even when I was in Rolling Thunder, which was an organization, not a club, we did a lot of stuff to support the veterans, and I was a full-patched member of that organization for many years and did a lot of things to support the military. But even with that group, there was just so many rules. You know, you had to attend their church, their meetings regularly, and you were required to go on different events they had, different rides, different runs, fundraisers, chili cook-offs, and things like that. That was a requirement of that organization. So you kind of had to commit yourself to it to retain that patch. And if you didn't, then, you know, there was repercussions and discipline. And when I say that, it was just, you know, they'd take your patch or something like that. And I don't know. I had to get out of it because they started hammering on me for a small infraction. I was going through a divorce at the time, and I was having a lot of problems, and I missed like 2 meetings, and we had a turnover like 4 times, 4 different presidents in that organization. And the one that was in charge of the organization at that time asked me for my patch because I had missed 2 meetings in a row. It wasn't intentional. It was just things came up and I couldn't go to the meeting. So I just cut my patch off and told him to put it where the sun don't shine. Because, you know, if you're going to get that picky, then I don't want to be a part of it, you know. One thing I don't like is being controlled. I don't like people laying a bunch of rules on me and telling me what I have to do and what I'm not allowed to do. And it seems like a lot of these clubs have very strict rules. When you join, they expect it to be a lifetime commitment. You know, like you've sold your soul. Like there's no, once you join, you can't quit. It's a lifetime thing. It's forever. But then on the other hand, I see a lot of guys that have fallen out. You know, they've joined the club and they were with it for a while, and then they realized it wasn't for them, and then they bail. And you know that. Now, you heard the horror stories where, you know, oh, if you leave the club, you know, they'll hunt you down, they'll track you down, and it won't be pretty. There's other guys that have, you know, gotten the club tattoo, and you've heard the stories where, you know, if you leave the club, we're going to cut the tattoo off you with a knife, or you're going to burn it off of you because you can't wear it anymore. But I guarantee you there's a lot of guys that have joined a club, got the tattoo, and they're still walking around with it after they bailed off of the club because it wasn't for them. Here's the other thing that I don't understand about the clubs. Now, just recently, there was a huge DEA feds, hammered down on hundreds of club members and arrested them. A lot of guys were arrested only by affiliation, because they were wearing the cut. So you've committed yourself to pay for your brother's mistakes if you're a member of that club. And to me, that's just foolishness. Like, I'm clean. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm a member of the club, but this guy over here, he crosses the line, and now the feds come down, bust the whole unit, and you end up going to the can because of everybody else. You fell for your brothers. It's not the military. It's not like you're out there defending your brother on the battlefield. You're riding a motorcycle. So why would you sell your soul to something like that? Give your life away, pretty much. To me, it's just foolish, and I don't understand it. I mean, there are guys that, have been in the military under that structure, and then when they come out of the military, they still need that structure. Well, that's fine if that's what you like in your life. Me, no, I don't like structure. I like to be a free bird. I like to come and go as I please. I like to ride when I want, where I want, and just to be able to enjoy life and do other things freely without any restrictions or rules laid down upon me. It was like when I was employed. There was a bunch of rules you had to follow in employment. I wasn't allowed to have this beard when I was employed. They would, I had my Fu Manchu mustache, but they said it's got to be cut even with the bottom of your lip. You can't let it come down to your chin. Telling me how to, my personal hygiene, what I can and can't do. And I just really resented that, and I was always at odds with management over stupid things like that. Anyway, you look at it, the labels that they put on people, call it whatever you want. For me, it's somebody that rides a motorcycle, and there's a lot of people out there riding motorcycles and all kinds of motorcycles. Now, obviously, the what are they? Polaris slingshots. Those are not categorized as a biker thing. It's like a car with three wheels. That's what they are. But I've seen some. I don't know. I wouldn't even say it's an organized club, but I've seen rides where they're included in the ride, and I don't know that is quite kosher. But again, who cares? Who really cares? And then you've got the Can-Ams, which have the motorcycle handlebars. They're kind of like a snowmobile, but with wheels. So they have the two steering wheels in the front, and one drive wheel in the back. And people have included those they've incorporated those into the motorcycle culture. Some people are adamantly against that and say, no, those aren't motorcycles, but yet they'll accept a trike, which has the steering tire in the front and the two drive wheels in the back. So it's the same thing, it's just flipped. So, yeah, again, it's just an odd quirk about that culture. Like, you're allowed to do this, but you're not allowed to do that, and you can ride with us if you have this, but if you don't have that, you can't ride with us. Back in the day, if you didn't have a Harley Davidson, some of these groups and clubs would say, no, you don't ride with us unless you have a Harley Davidson. It has to be a Harley. Nowadays, they're allowing everything. The notorious clubs, you'll see everything. Yamaha, Hondas, Harleys, Indians. They don't seem to care anymore. I think the their whole initial club thing for a lot of these clubs is getting out of control, because look at the European clubs that carry the same rocker. You know, I mean, the Hells Angels are all over the whole world. And when you see some of their chapters, these guys, they don't even look like bikers from what we're, you know, the image that you usually think of when you see a biker is rough and tumble, tattooed, you know, wearing the cut and the black jeans and the boots. These guys are like wearing tennis shoes, shorts, muscle shirts, or those like basketball shorts and jerseys, and it's like, okay, how did this happen? You know, and these guys are considered, you know, like the motorcycle club culture. It's just weird to me. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. And I don't think it matters how you dress. If you ride a motorcycle, you ride a motorcycle. But if you're in a club, isn't there some kind of required dress code? Maybe not. Maybe you can wear whatever you want. I don't know. I've never worn tennis shoes on my bike. And in the past, if you watch some of my past videos, I kind of dissed people that wore tennis shoes when they ride a motorcycle. There's boots that you can wear, you know, heavier shoes that you can wear that protect your feet from the road, because, you know, you're going to put your feet down. And I will say that if you have a pair of tennis shoes, you're going to have a good traction on the road surface. But I don't know. It's just another one of those things. Is it a dress code, or is it, well, you know, whatever you want to wear anymore? I think that's pretty much what it is. I get a lot of guff for not wearing a helmet. And the only time I ever wore a helmet in my whole life of motorcycling is when I rode a dirt bike in the motocross. I wore a helmet with the face shield and the whole thing. But after that, I never have worn a helmet. I've been on numerous different types of bikes over my riding career, and I've never worn a helmet. I feel like when I wear a helmet, I feel very restricted, and I don't like it. I find it very uncomfortable. I find that it puts me in more of a vulnerable position, and I know some people are going to argue with me, but I have much better peripheral vision without a helmet. I have much better hearing without a helmet. I can hear somebody coming up behind me. That's just my personal opinion, and it probably always will be. I don't see I own 4 helmets, and I don't wear any of them. And some of them are brand new. I had bought them years ago with, you know, the thought that, well, okay, I'll try wearing a helmet. We'll see how that happens. Plus, if you travel across the country, certain states have helmet laws where you have to wear a helmet. So when I was traveling, you know, from the East Coast to the Rockies back and forth, yeah, I had to put a helmet on a couple times. But that was just like to get across this state that had the helmet law. And once I got to the state line, the helmet came off and got strapped back on the back of my bike. So, you know, everybody has their own ideas, and I appreciate the good wishes and well thoughts about wearing a helmet, but my feelings are a little bit different about it. And I think when you do go down, which I've gone down, I've had some very, you know, serious crashes on my motorcycle, but I don't know that it always matters whether you have a helmet on or not. Some people might argue that with me, but that's fine. I don't always agree. Well, now, especially in my time of retirement, I have more freedom than I've ever had before in my entire life, and I enjoy that. I like to maintain that freedom. And that freedom means that, I don't have any rules to attend to other than what I put on myself. This morning, I get up out of bed, and I don't have any specific time that I have to get up. I just get up when I want to get up. Sometimes it's early, 5:30 a.m., 6. Sometimes it's 7:30. But I get up, and then I have my set duties and chores that I attend to. Not because I want to, I just kind of task myself to get those things done. As you know, I like to keep a neat house. I like to keep it vacuumed. I like to keep my kitchen floor clean. I like to keep my kitchen clean. I have a pet cat that I have to tend to. She's got litter boxes I have to clean, and she scatters litter around, so that has to be swept up. I keep my fireplace going in the wintertime, but there's a lot of debris that gets carried in that has to be swept up off the floor too. So, I kind of task myself to keep those things done and keep up with it. I go out and I take my chainsaw out and I cut firewood for a day just to keep my stock up. Not that I need it, but I don't want to ever run out. I've had situations where I've been out cutting firewood in below freezing weather in snow up to my ankles, and that's not pleasant. So it's better to get it done while the weather, especially right now, the ground's frozen, but the snow's only about that deep. So cutting firewood is a little better in this kind of situation than wait until, you drop a tree and it's buried in the snow. That's not fun at all. So I still have freedom to make those choices, to come and go, to do as I please when I want. But I do, there comes a point where I can't sit around all day either. I have to find things to do and stay occupied. They always told me in retirement, they said, the best way to end your life is, after you retire, is to just sit and do nothing. You're going to be better off to be active and to stay active all the time. So I struggle to do that. It's not always easy, especially in this kind of weather when it's, below freezing temperatures, down in the teens, sometimes down in the single digits, when there's snow on the ground. What do you do outside? I do my hikes with my friend Buzz. So I do have that. But I sometimes I feel like I could do a little bit more, too, to maintain my health. I mean, I spent my whole career working outdoors, and that's what given me the health that I have today. I pretty much sold on that fact that, if you have a job where you're working in a factory or inside a building all day, there's health implications to that you may not even realize. When you have an outdoor job and you're out in the fresh air all day, your body is a lot more healthier. You're getting the UV rays, you're breathing fresh air, your body's moderating to different temperature levels, and you're physical too. You're moving around a lot. So there's a lot to say about that health-wise. Well, anyways, I tend to maintain my life of freedom, to come and go as I please. I don't have any thoughts about finding another partner, because that would just change the whole thing for me again, and I'm not unwilling to do that. I miss my wife more than you could ever imagine, and I don't intend to replace her. I don't think I ever could. But if I did bring somebody else into my life, I know that would take away much of the freedom I have, and probably even more than ever before. And I just don't want that. I don't want to make those changes in my life again. I've been there, done that numerous times, and I don't want to do it again. I'm happy the way things are. Well, thanks for watching today and listening to my conversation. Whether you agree or disagree, it's your choice. You know, leave your comments down below. If you like the video, hit that like button. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and continue to join the rest of us on this journey through life. I don't know how long it's going to go, but we'll make the best of it, huh? Till next time, cats, I'll catch you all later.